Alright guys, welcome back. So BTC is 3% of all-time high. We've had a very nice run off the bottom, but can we expect to pull back before all-time high? And where can we expect that pullback to happen? That's something we will cover on today's show. Also going to be covering ETH, others, Total 3, and a bunch of altcoins I'm watching right now. But before we jump into that, please like and subscribe to the video, hit the notification bell, and if you feel so charitable to give me a comment and a thumbs up, then please do so. Let's get into it. So on BTC, we've had a very nice move off the bottom of 11%, give or take. We've come into this one-day supply up here now. This is the point of breakdown before we came down and made the 107k lows. So obviously we can expect some sort of resistance up here. We are starting to see some sort of stalling on the daily candle in Asia session, but where can we expect that to pull back to if we are looking for a pullback? So if you followed the last video, I mentioned 3 different scenarios that we were looking for, and I believe it was the first one I mentioned. This has played out for now. So we actually switched to line chart on this. You can see we've now made a high on the daily with this close up here above this level in here. And we pretty much made a higher low also down around that 107k region, which we front run. So we are in an uptrend now on the daily, which is very important. Not a place to look for shorts. This is where you are looking for longs on pullbacks. So scenario 1 I'm watching for is probably the best scenario you're going to get if you're looking to long and position long into the market on altcoins and BTC. Obviously, we want to see BTC have that run up into all-time high first. If we get that really strong push up, we can expect a bit of a cool off in alts momentarily as BTC goes up. But once it tops out, we can expect those things to move up. So now we have that daily structure break. I'm going to give you a few more scenarios. So scenario 1 is the one I'm most keen on, and most likely all of you at home. It's a pullback into this daily demand down here at around 114, 115k. Now that's the level we mentioned on the last video. Some sort of topping out, consolidating here. If we pull back into that, it's right into the golden pocket on the Fibonacci. I think if that happens, you're going to get a fairly decent pullback on alts, and that's where I'll be looking to take a swing position on BTC up into new highs, and I'll also be looking to take swing positions on alts for later in Q4, probably on spot, and maybe take some perp swings as well. Now, scenario 2 is we just grind sideways for a bit and start just doing the slow grind up, which we've done many times before. I'm going to cover that in the next tab up here. This is probably my lowest conviction scenario, but we have seen it happen on BTC plenty of times, so we have to prepare for it. If we just sort of do that and do the slow accumulation up before finally getting above all-time high and then having a real pop, then we just have to sort of chase momentum on that. If that happens, you're going to play a rally-based rally structure, which I'm going to cover in a sec. And that just sort of lets you enter into trends on low time frame if there's not any deeper pullbacks happening. Now, scenario 3 is a shallow pullback. Now, that's pulling basically back into this 117k level, which we've discussed many times before. It actually lines up with the 0.32 on the Fibonacci. I generally have that up in heavy trending conditions. Most of the time, I just have the 0.5 and the 0.62 up. So I'm just looking for a pullback into equilibrium 0.5 or down into the golden pocket around 0.62. But when we have these heavy trending markets, I usually pull up the 0.32 and have it on my chart just so I can sync it up if we're only getting shallow pullbacks. Now, if we do get that, I'm sort of looking around that 117 level as discussed because we have this daily breaker over here. You can see this was a supply before the move down. And we've now broken up above that. So maybe some sort of move into that consolidation. And we start to consolidate there without really dipping below this level. I'll probably look to take a position on some sort of sweep or SFP of the lows of the consolidation that forms there. And that position will be for new all-time highs. Now, there is also scenario 4 is we reject off here and we don't actually show any respect to these levels, come up and reject off that 117k level. And that's where I think we'll come down and take out these 107k lows. It's basically relative equal lows now. We have some at 108.5 and those ones I've been discussing many times at 107. That's probably the least likely scenario to happen right now, but it is crypto and these things do happen. So if we do get that, this is where I'll be looking to take positions also for new all-time high. So you can see based on all the scenarios I've given you so far, everything is pertaining to me taking long positions. I'm not looking to short. As I said, we are now officially in an uptrend based on the market structure showing here, and therefore we need to be bulls, put the bull cap on, and just simply look for easy longs to take and free money to pick up off the ground when it presents. Now, flicking across to this tab, I mentioned a few times there that when BTC runs, it sometimes gives shallow pullbacks and doesn't really give you the sort of 0.62, 0.5 pullback that everyone's looking for. So around these 74k lows, once we had this sweep, we pushed up, and you can see we had this small consolidation here without any real pullback before pushing up again. Once again, we had this upwards consolidation, not really any sort of pullback. Price just grinded up and to the right before once again printing a new market structure break. As you can see again, we simply did that before another push up, then finally we had that consolidation. So if we actually go back to the 2023 run, we can see the same thing happened again. We broke up above this large consolidation cluster over here, and we just did that vertical accumulation pattern before pushing up. We had a few weeks of consolidation before doing that thing again where we came down, swept the lows. We didn't really give any pullback again. We had all these untapped lows before pushing up. Once again, this shallow pullback here. It's not really even a pullback, I wouldn't call it. Just this very grindy consolidation before making a new leg. So that's what I'm discussing with BTC on those scenarios 1 and 2, where we might not actually get the pullbacks everyone's waiting for, the consensus pullbacks. We might just get this grindy, shallow price action before pushing up into new highs. And we have to be prepared for that. Now, when I start to see that pattern happening and I start to see a lot of aggression coming to the market, I stopped thinking of those deep pullbacks and I start just looking for this rally-based rally setup. So what that effectively looks like, maybe we just form a shallow range in here where we bracket back and forth, we get the sweep of the lows and a reclaim before pushing up. This generally lines up nicely when you have the trend as well. So maybe we do something like the H4 trend comes up, we just consolidate in this range in here, and then we get that sweep into H4 trend before reclaiming the range, and that's where we look for the long position to mark up into new highs. So with this rally-based rally scenario, it looks something like this. Let's just say this is the 4-hour money noodle or the 1-hour money noodle. It doesn't matter. This is time frame agnostic. You can use it on any time frame. But the importance is the structure. So let's just say this is a noodle. Price is nicely trending up like this. Finally, we get a big impulsive leg up, and then we see this like shallow consolidation. Just happens like this for a while, and this is what I'm referring to with this like shallow pullback that may be happening now. Now you get something like this happen for a while, people just getting chopped on low time frames, and eventually get the sweep down into the noodle, and that takes out all the liquidity that's building up in here. So once you get that sweep, you look for a reclaim back above that range low that's formed. Let's just say this is the range here. You've got your range high marked. We've got our range low there. So once it gets back inside, you look at a position here once we reclaim the range for trend continuation up. Now you'll see this pattern play out time and time again in any key trend. And generally happens on low time frames and very parabolic moves. Sometimes the 15 minutes, sometimes the hourly if you're lucky. And if you're in a true parabolic move, I generally think the best pullback you're going to get is to the H4 trend. I generally think the daily just gets left behind. Kind of the same thing I see. The best bullish divergences in bull markets are generally the 4-hour or a 4-hour 50 RSI retest. Anything higher than that, I just don't see bullish divergences form when we're in parabolic trends on the daily. So 4 hours kind of your highest, or you're generally looking for around 1 hour to 15 minute. So you sort of have to scale down your time frames, but I don't think we're quite there yet. We haven't broken past all-time high. So once we have that, we just sort of need to look for this pattern to occur. But until then, we are coming into key resistance. So it's not a place to long right here. We just need to go down to lower time frames and look if that structure is forming. All right, Ethereum. So in the past few videos, I've been discussing the importance of this weekly and 3-day demand cluster here and the 3-day noodle off the 4K level. So you can see from that, we've already had an 18.5% move. So very nice move so far, but you can see the difference in BTC and ETH structure. So BTC didn't make a fresh low, it made a high low, and now it's made a higher high. ETH made a fresh low, but is yet to make a higher high. So there is still potential this could actually roll over here and come down and make a new lower low, but I don't think that's the case. What I think is more likely is if we do get a pullback, it's to around 4260 here, this price structure level. We also have a daily demand down here. It's also at the 0.5 level of Fibonacci. Forget that. That's where we're looking to position. That's where I think a lot of alts will give nice opportunities. And then we simply look for a push up that will break this market structure level over here to confirm continuation. Now, if we do that, I think all-time highs on the cards very quickly. I think we eclipse 5K with no problem. But I think in terms of structure right now, BTC structure looks better, and that's actually what we want. We want to see BTC put in the fresh leg. Then we want to see alts catch up, and that money will eventually start trickling down to things like Ethereum, Sol, other large caps, and then it will trickle further down the risk curve into things like memes, AI, stuff like that. Now, scenario 2 for ETH is just what we discussed in BTC. Maybe we just get this consolidation in here on lower timeframes, just a little range forms. Maybe we get a deviation of that before reclaiming it and push up. We start to reclaim this 3-day supply here and consolidate above it. I think we're going for all-time high, no problem, without any real pullback. It'll just be a shallow pullback, but we can adapt to that when it happens. It's just worth having on your radar for now. Now, this others chart is something I've discussed before, this 326 billion level. You can see we did indeed, I think it was about 5-6 videos ago, I was looking for a break above this. You can see we did actually have a deviation of it. So we got above it for a bit before selling off, but we are holding this trend line quite nicely. And if I pull up the trend, we're also holding the 3-day trend pretty well. So, a lot of money is flowing into alts at the moment. This is indicative by the USDT dominance chart, which we've discussed before. But just in terms of this structure right now, we are compressing into a key level with this diagonal here. So I really like this. I think, some sort of proper pop above this. Maybe we see BTC have a run, price stalls under here. Maybe we get a pullback in that level again. That would give very nice opportunities to get into altcoins if you're expecting it to go up and follow BTC's lead. And then we're just looking for that bounce from there to come up and eclipse this level and start really marking up from here. This is also indicative in the total 3 chart. So total 3 is just the total market cap of all coins excluding BTC and ETH. So you can pretty much look at this as just altcoins. You can see we're pressing up into this all-time high level over here at 1.15 trillion. The first time we tested it, we had quite an aggressive sell-off, but I think it looks more constructive this time. We had this big move into it originally, but this is speed. So when you have a move like this, it's not sustainable because you can't expect it just to break through that level and continue up like this. Obviously, it moved up there with a fair bit of exuberance and then it pulled back quite savagely. But I think this is a lot more healthy, this move we're seeing now. It's just this grindy upwards consolidation pattern. Once again, you can see that diagonal forming. So I actually think this will break and close above, and this is where we're going to see more fun in altcoins. Now, it wouldn't surprise me we do have another pullback based on what I just said with the others chart and based on how BTC is setting up. But I just think, this looks a lot more constructive than this. So we just need to pay attention to this and have it on our radar. Flicking across to the new Mars High Club indicator, the spaghetti chart for indexes. I have the top window marked out to the weekly time frame and the bottom for the daily time frame. So I basically use the top for my intra-week bias, what I'm looking for, what's outperforming on the week, and then my daily one sort of tells me what I'm looking to trade intraday. We can actually see if we just go to the weekly one. So BTC has pretty much been outperforming since the weekly open. We did yesterday see memes start to come above, and memes are sort of outperforming BTC just at the moment. So this is kind of where I'm putting my eggs in the basket right now. I think a lot of things look fantastic at the moment, a lot of L1s, a lot of large caps, a lot of mid caps. But I just think if the attention is obviously being displayed in memes right here, then this is where our attention should be. Now, that's not to say things won't just pop off left, right, and center, but I just think if memes are showing that strong hand now, then we need to have them on the radar. Now, if you want access to this, you can get it in the Mars High Club. It's a brand new indicator. I use this as my first port of call every morning. This is where I see what's outperforming, so I know what I can trade for the day and week without getting caught up in things like deep in on the week, which obviously relatively weak compared to the rest of the market. Do I really want to be trading deep in stuff when memes are outperforming, or do I want to put my money into memes thinking they will continue that outperformance? Now you can see on the right-hand side table, it's actually telling us which memes are outperforming on the weekly. So SPX, MOG, Brett have all been in pretty good moves, but obviously SPX and MOG are the outliers right now. Useless has been another one, which we don't have in the chart. I'm going to add it shortly. The best thing about this spaghetti chart is you can actually create your own indexes. So you can see all the coins in here for each index, but the developer actually conveniently left all these blank ones down the bottom. So you can actually build your own. So, you can build one for DAT coins. You can build one for perp dexes. The world's your oyster with this thing. So I'll be looking to do that today after I get off this video. So speaking of memes, I'm just going to flick through a few. Like, so many of them look good. It's just sort of, it's hard to say, these are the main ones because everything's just looking decent right now. But the ones I'm watching are just based on high time frame structure. So Useless is a really nice chart and something I've discussed on videos before here. We came down into this weekly FVG in the golden pocket on the Fibonacci. We swept these key lows before pushing up. Now on this push up, since we've swept that low, we've put in a 65% move. And that's pretty much happened over the last 2 days. So the 3-day chart is what I've been referencing here mostly. I really like this diagonal forming. It's been, tested time and time again and has acted as resistance. Maybe we do get a shallow pullback in here before upside, but I think, now we're testing it again. We just need to start paying attention to this coin. And I just think that relative strength has been shown, so we just need to not ignore it. So if we go to lower time frame, you can see already we are pressuring into that level again. So maybe we do get a breakout, but if we do get a pullback, we need to sort of plan on where we're looking for that pullback. I'm looking for Useless at around 0.2. Nice psychological round number. We also have the 4-hour money noodle coming into it. We also have this 4-hour demand cluster here. And I'm sure if we pull the Fibonacci from the low to the high, yeah, it lines up with the 0.62 level in the golden pocket. So this is where I'm sort of looking for. You guys don't front run me at home or I'll come for you. But I think this is a very good one. I'm looking to get exposure in this for upside continuation into Q4. So SPX, as we saw via the spaghetti chart, also looking very good. We have this key level over here at 1.08. We actually had a big deviation below it before accepting back inside. And since then, we've pushed up. Now sort of finding resistance here. We are just above the daily noodle, but we are finding resistance here. So maybe we get a shallow pullback on this where, it just sort of holds above the daily noodle. It does that consolidation pattern I'm talking about where it's sort of just brackets here. These are often my favorite setups. So you get this consolidation where it doesn't really pull back deeply into any sort of meaningful POI. It just consolidates under this level. And simply then I'm just looking to go down a low time frame and look for the push above. Now if we get some sort of close above that, maybe the H1 or the H4 candle, that's sort of where you can take a position and put your stop under whatever low was anchored in that consolidation point. Now if that happens, we do have a very nice cluster of equal highs over here to target on SPX, which would give us, give or take, a nice 16% move. That's just for intraday trading. I actually think if I want to get a bigger swing on this, I'm just looking for the same thing again. I'm just looking for the H4 noodle to get tagged around key POIs. Now down around 1.163, we actually have this very nice intra-demand cluster on the 4-hour. So any sort of pullback into that lines up with the 4-hour noodle is where I'm looking to bid these things. Pengu, another one, came down into the daily FEG, into the golden pocket, had a very nice push up, finding resistance at the daily noodle, but we did reclaim this key pivot level at 0.03. I'm looking for the same thing. Maybe we do the shallow consolidation, but maybe we get a pullback at some sort of POI. So we do have these equal lows down here at around 0.029. We also have a 4-hour FVG just under that. So some sort of pullback and sweeping those lows into the 4-hour FVG that lines up the 4-hour noodle. Probably somewhere I'm looking to take a position on this, where we can target on that. I think, I kind of put targets out the window. If we start breaking out to all-time high in BTC, I think I'm looking to hold these things as long as they have momentum, as long as they hold trend. Other than that, I'll say it again, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment, I'll get back to you. If you want to join the Miles High Club, it's popping off at the moment. I think this is a great time to join the group. Everyone's sort of in their element right now. We have trend traders, we have momentum traders, we have price action traders. We have tons of education going on right now. We have gem calls from Miles and Fabian that are absolutely kicking off. Fabian posted a 4x this morning, something I missed because I wasn't following him at the right time. But lots of things happening, and also you get the indicators in the group. So you get the money noodle, which I've used in today's analysis, as I always use, and you also get access to this, which gives you intraday and intra-week plays to watch, so you can track the relative strength in the market. Now, if that sounds appealing to you, you can follow the link in the description for the Miles High Club. And other than that, I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.